Kanye West caused a stir this weekend by tweeting praise of black conservative Candace Owens. The vicious smears that followed from leftists proved his point. The thought police want to suppress freedom. Writer Torre condemned West for liking someone with, quote, anti-black positions, a cowardly jab at Ms. Owens for daring to speak up. Joy Reid mocked those lauding Kanye's bravery, revealing her own bitter jealousy of Owens' fearlessness. Yeah, Tom Arnold. He unleashed a sexist attack on Candace. If he were a conservative, he'd be frog-marched into the sea. We can't even show you that tweet. Here's Candace on Fox and Friends discussing the vitriol.
Well, I think it's pretty typical of the left. The truth is that the left wants to strap black people to this idea that they are victims. That's what it comes down to. They do not want black people focused on their futures. They want black people focused on their past. They like black people to be government dependent. They don't like to see black people that are free thinkers and are independent. And I think that's what Kanye West and myself represent to the black community, and that makes them very nervous.
So these attacks on her prove that what Kanye did was a big deal. He challenged the mob. He knew that tweet would attract the pitchforks, but he did it anyway. West sacrificed himself to the mob to show that it's possible and inspirational. As for the attacks, the goal is to stigmatize, because smears always shut down debate. And West must be punished too, for the strategy is to ruin everyone by connection. If you like Candace, you're worse than Candace, when in reality, both transcend the orbit that their critics still live in. Kanye's extra dangerous to the left. For blacks leaning right, he's confirmatory. They got to shut him down. And he didn't even endorse Candace's beliefs, just her guts. In attacking him, they're attacking the very concept of free speech. Because there's nothing scarier to a leftist than a free thinker. West is one, so is Owens. Some network should hire her. So, Katie, I want to read you a couple of Kanye's tweets.
Which I probably retweeted a few of them.
Yeah. Self-victimization is a disease. Demonization has metastasized. We have freedom of speech, but not freedom of thought. To paraphrase the whole Matrix thing, I think he's taking the red pill, right?
Yeah, I think that maybe is what has happened here.
Yes.
But when he says, I like how Candace Owens thinks,
yes,
the way the left has responded to this with the thought police and the aggressive nature of what they've been saying, you're a terrible person, I can't believe you do this, you're a traitor, horrible threats, quite frankly, against Candace Owens for what she said, they're proving his point. They're proving exactly what he's saying about the fact that there's no diversity of thought, that we can't have a diversity of opinion, that people can't be who they are. And the problem for the left is when people like Candace Owens speak out, they debunk the narrative that you have to be all about identity politics, that Republicans hate you because you have a certain color of skin, that they don't like you because you're a woman. So she is a threat to them. And clearly she's getting a lot of attention, which is a very good thing.
You know, Kimberly, he also just tweeted a ton of my hero, Scott Adams videos. So it's kind of all coming together, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yes.
For you.
For me. I'm in the hole of the hole. No, the
eye of the storm.
The eye of the storm. Yes.
Oh my God! Don't be a weatherman.
There's the hole.
The AccuWeather Center just crashed and burned. Now, let me tell you something. I really like Candace Owens. I think she's fantastic. I'm speaking with her at the Young Women's Leadership Summit in Dallas in June. I think you have to be fearless. Like, as a Latina, Hispanic woman myself, people try to criticize me. They say, why are you so conservative? What's wrong with you? Think for yourself, etc. And I said, these are my thoughts. These are my opinions. These are my beliefs based on my life experience. And I think it's so courageous when you're able to come forward and step up and say what you think and what you mean, especially in the minority community where people want to prejudge you, categorize you, label you, and put you in a certain category and say, this is how you should think. This is how you should feel. This is how you should vote. This is where you should put your money, et cetera, based on perhaps what they think is their prejudged determination of where you belong, essentially like in a box. They want to put people in categories and boxes instead of allowing them to be individuals and expressive. And it's extra when, you're a woman and sticking up for these, let alone, a minority or a Latina or a black female in America.
To her point, Kimberly's point, Juan, don't you think that we've been for many years in this prison of two ideas, whether it's left or right, Republican, Democrat, pro-Trump, anti-Trump, that these are examples of people stepping out of that polarity and saying, I don't have to be that way. Shouldn't we be encouraging that more?
It is. It's a reality. It's not, and it doesn't apply to this case because
Candace Owens is someone who, is taking money from the NRA for her Turning Point organization. And, therefore the question arises, are you simply endorsing it because that's who your patron is? Or someone who has done business and appeared on InfoWars, the Alex Jones site. And again, it raises lots of red flags, I think, for people on either side because, Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist and all the like. And so he is the one that is now retweeting, oh, yeah, we love Candace. Well, wait a sec. So in other words, when the far right gets a black voice that's saying, hey, you know what, we disagree with some of the orthodoxies on the left, they raise her up and celebrate, oh, we found a hero. She's a free thinker.
So you think she's an imposter?
I don't know what
she called her far right. You called her far right.
You're suggesting
You're smearing her, basically.
I'm not smearing her. I'm saying there are legitimate reasons to ask questions, and you guys want to ignore all these questions and simply celebrate her like a free thinker. This is not Tom Sowell. Let me just tell you.
We are not necessarily the first ones to celebrate her as a free thinker. That was Kanye West.
Right.
Oh,
That's why we're doing this segment.
The same guy who you put down when he said that George W. Bush was going after black people.
I never put him down, but Kanye has evolved because I suggest you read some of these tweets. The man is a modern-day philosopher.
Oh, yeah, he is.
People on the right and the left can agree.
It's very convenient.
A lot of good things about human development.
Very
not convenient.
Convenient. After Kanye said his thing about President Bush, you were, what a racist, crazy.
We weren't on the air.
It was very cool to hate on Kanye for a real long time.
I'd like to hear what Kimberly has to say.
Thank you, Katie. Appreciate it. We'll go
in your court.
With the comments that you made, I think, Juan, are intended or not, were disrespectful to her because she is. No, let me finish. She is a woman. She is a free thinker. She's independent. She's well educated. And you suggested that she was transactional, that she would just foster thoughts and opinions and viewpoints based on currency exchange, for example.
I don't know.
We got to go. Believe it or not, we have to move away from this really boring argument to look at, I think President Trump is what is.
Well, rappers love to collaborate with other artists, but Kanye West's latest collaborations are still striking out into bold new territory. Over the weekend, West first tweeted an endorsement of black conservative and Trump supporter Candace Owens. In response, Dilbert creator Scott Adams created a 20-minute video declaring that, quote, Kanye showed the way to the golden age. West responded to that by tweeting out Adams' videos to his 15 million followers and then added this, quote, new ideas will no longer be condemned by the masses. We are on the frontier of massive change, starting from breaking out of our mental prisons. Well, Mark Stein filled in, hosted the show a lot of last week when I was gone and did a fantastic job, and he joins us again tonight. What do you make of this, Mark?
Well, I think one of the privileges of mega celebrity like Kanye West is that you should be allowed to be wacky. And celebrities can be wacky. Elton John was sitting on a balcony in Rome, and the wind was a bit much, and he called up the hotel manager and bawled him out and asked him to turn the wind down. And the manager explained very politely that he didn't have the power to turn the winds over Italy down to Sir Elton's preferred level. You're supposed to be able to do that when you're a celebrity. You can be as wacky as you want, except if you were to tweet out, I got a bit bored with MSNBC the other night, so I tuned over to Tucker Carlson for a couple of minutes. He was really quite amusing in small doses. The left goes bananas because you can be as wacky as you want, except for the ideological straitjacket they demand you stay in. And Kanye West is simply getting itchy. He calls it mental slavery, and he's right about that. That there's no point being the wealthiest person, most successful celebrity, a household name on magazine covers all over the world, if you can't issue a 7-word tweet without people demanding that you withdraw it and you denounce the person that you were tweeting about. He's sick of it. And the wonder is only that more celebrities don't get that sick of it as quickly as he has.
The fully emancipated Mark Stein. Thank you, Mark.
Night.
That's it for us. We'll be back tomorrow. Hannity, right now.
All right. All right, the left's attempt to shut down and just demonize conservatives in this country is ramping up again. This time, they're attacking African-American conservative commentator Candace Owens for taking on Black Lives Matter protesters during an event at UCLA. Take a look.
What is happening right now in the black community, you're going to hear it in this first. There is an ideological civil war happening. Black people that are focused on their past and shouting about slavery, and black people that are focused on their futures. Victim mentality is not cool. I don't know why people like being oppressed. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I love oppression. We're oppressed. 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, which, by the way, none of you guys lived through. Your grandparents did, and it's embarrassing that you utilize their history. You utilize their history, and you come in here with more emotion than they ever had when they were living through it. More emotion than they ever had when they were living through it. It's embarrassing. You're not living through anything right now. You're overly privileged Americans.
And on Saturday, Kanye West praised Owens on Twitter, and he wrote this, quote, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks, but not everyone of Owens is a fan with compliments and support Kanye West support." Look at what Tom Arnold went on a sexist, brutal, vicious, hateful, racist tirade on Twitter. Here's just some of what he tweeted. "Aside from being an insane alt-right race pimp, Candace Owens thinks Donald Trump is literally the Messiah, not you, at Kanye West, so you might want to reconsider." He also wrote, at Real Candace, "Good luck glomming on to Kanye West. His family already told him you were a phony and a fraud, a former Democratic bad actress." But I don't even want to talk about this anymore. Candace now joins us here. You are a total star. I watched that tape. I am so impressed and so happy for you that you have this gift. But I am so sad for you also that you have to take on those vicious attacks like that.
Thank you so much, first of all, for the compliment. It means a lot coming from you. And let me tell you, do not be sad for me. This is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I intended to happen, because I knew exactly what I was going up against. When you go up against the left, this is what they do. They try to essentially say that you are not allowed to think differently. I say it all the time. Blacks are ideological slaves and pawns to the Democratic Party.
Try and invest in real estate. If you don't put your money under a mattress, believe me, I know what you mean. It's not the same, though. How I watched Kanye West, I was so happy that he did that, because that's what I always thought. Everybody should embrace this freedom. Why do so many have a problem with this?
It's not a problem with it. You have to think about what the left has done successfully. They've hijacked our education. They've hijacked our families via LBJ and the Great Society Act, taking away black fathers so that black youth would start to look at hip-hop culture and NBA and NFL athletes for the right direction. This is why they're constantly utilizing Hollywood, and there's developed this underground system of conservative thinkers in Hollywood for fear of losing their jobs. Kanye West is just the first person that's brave enough to come out swinging against them and saying that he has a right to think according to how he would like to.
I really thought, honestly, it was so refreshing that he did that, and I was happy for you. You know, a very dear friend of mine, Deneen Borelli, she's been a guest on this program often. She wrote a best-selling book, Blacklash. The first thing she writes in the book is Google my name. And because she happens to be a black American who is conservative, the things that come up are the most vicious. Why? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that the reason is because politics is downstream from culture. And if they lose the culture war, they lose absolutely everything they have. They cannot afford to have black people thinking differently. If we move the black vote even 5%, the Democratic Party is absolutely finished. So it's essentially a house of cards that they've been building. When you get black icons like Kanye West, you get...
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought. No, finish your thought.
Or you get black stars to speak out against them, they're in serious trouble.
Look at under President Trump, black and Hispanic unemployment is at the lowest level it's ever been at. 14 states have record low unemployment numbers. After 8 years of President Obama, 13 million more Americans were on food stamps, 8 million more were in poverty. I said that every night. Do you think this is going to change? Because the Democrats, every year, every election year, they play the race card. Republicans don't want to count you in the census, the James Byrd ad, and so on and so forth. Do you think this changes? Is there a cultural shift based on results coming?
100% there's going to be a cultural shift. And you mentioned the Black Caucus, which stood for more food stamps when Obama announced it, but sat when Trump announced black unemployment. That is disgusting, okay? And that is because they work for leftists. It has been infected. It is a swamp. And I'm telling you right now, we are on the brink of an ideological revolution, and the black community is going to start waking up. And I'm so happy that I get to play a part in this.
I got to tell you, I admire you so much. You are a force of light and a star, and I am going to really enjoy watching your career trajectory just soar. And I wish you all God's grace and success in the future. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you, Kanye, for what he did for you, too.
Thank you so much.
When we come back, the media, they can't stop talking about me. All about me. I, #1, oh my, me, my. We'll play the video.
You want to know what really seems to terrify a liberal? A black conservative, especially a black conservative speaking his or her mind. The most recent example began when hip-hop superstar Kanye West tweeted on Saturday, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks." Who's Candace Owens? Well, she's a popular conservative commentator. And that set off liberal Twitter, with comedian Tom Arnold tweeting something so profane, even he ended up deleting it. A comedian deleting something from Twitter because it's obscene? Well, that's when you know things have gotten totally out of hand. Let's discuss the perils for black conservatives speaking their minds with Fox News contributor Kevin Jackson in Phoenix and former Hillary Clinton campaign staffer Michael Starr Hopkins in New York. Great to see both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Let's start with you, Michael. I watched the Candace Owens speech, and I think we don't have time to play all of it, but she basically was given a talk on a college campus where she said, think for yourself. You're not a victim. Don't act like a victim. You can do whatever you want. You have 2 hands, you have 2 feet, you have your eyes, you have your mind, you have your independence. You're not owned by any political party. That was basically her message. And Kanye sends a tweet, I like what she's saying. He was strafed all over by Hollywood, the entertainment industry, and more. Why is that the right reaction to intellectual, ideological diversity?
Well, let me start with Kanye, and then I can talk about Candace Owens. Kanye West, the reason that people are laughing at Kanye is because of the intellectual dishonesty here. On one hand, when Kanye West said that George W. Bush didn't care about black people, conservatives were in an outrage. Now that Kanye West says that he loves Trump, now he's conservatives' love child. I think that's the first problem. But when it comes to Candace, let me talk about a different issue with Candace. My issue with Candace is that she wants to rewrite history. She wants to ignore the history that got us to where we are today and walk all over the civil rights icons that allow her now to be able to say the things that she does.
She wants to walk all over it? What are you talking about? She wants to walk all over civil rights icons?
Yeah, absolutely. By saying that African Americans are whining, by saying that Black Lives Matter activists...
She's not saying everybody. She's saying, and she was very upbeat. I thought she was really positive. I don't know her at all, by the way.
I've seen multiple clips of Candace, and I'm not talking about just the Black Lives Matter speech, but things that she said on Hannity tonight, things I've heard her say before. I mean, let's be frank.
No, yeah, well, I just, again, the left says all sorts of horrifically hateful things about people 24/7.
Right.
A black conservative gets up and says, think for yourself. And she might as well be Hitler. I mean, honestly, what people are saying
but
about
I also get to criticize her.
You
and I think that what she's doing is being disrespectful.
Hey, Laura, I'd like to jump in here.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I'd like to jump in here. First of all, I'm proud that you were able to find somebody that wants to come and argue that black people should be monolithic and all think the same. And how dare Kanye West actually stand up for Candace Owens today when he said something different about George Bush? George Bush was a very different person. Kanye West can have an opinion that differs over time, just like anybody else.
Okay, that's fair.
And standing up for Candace, who said nothing Candace said. By the way, the college campuses would never let me or Larry Elder or some of the people on. I'm shocked they let Candace on, because with all due respect to her, I would go teach those kids a lesson that they'd never forget. And
why? Nobody's scared of you just because you're a black Republican. I have friends and family that are black Republicans. You are a perfect example, as you sit here and try to talk over me, you're a perfect example of a person who comes on here and says, it's what she says.
Candace has an opinion that most blacks in America agree with, that we are individuals. We are not monolithic. We don't vote Democrat because people like you decide that's what we're about. Laura, here's an interesting thing. I'll come off this segment, and there will be more white people that will call me a race traitor, along with the cadre of blacks.
And I'll get off here and get called all kinds of racial slurs by Republicans.
Race traitor because I don't want to toe the line. Look, the day what Candace is exposing is the day of Democrats demagoguing the political spectrum and having black people go for this nonsense when it's gotten us nothing. Those days are over.
Okay, hold on, Michael. I'll let you respond. I just want to play a soundbite. I mean, it is an amazing radio talk show guy, a radio host named Ebro, commenting on all this. And Michael, maybe you can respond. Let's watch.
Absolutely.
Multiple times through the conversation, he said, I just want to lead with love. I just want to be about love. And I said, you're a liar.
You're a liar.
Because the people you're aligning yourself with aren't leading with love. Kanye West, quote, I love Donald Trump.
Obama was right. You are a jack. And you showed it again this weekend.
Your reaction, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any disagreement with that. I mean, look, you can't say you want to lead with love. Because you can't say you want to lead with love and then have a president who says that African countries are a word I won't say on air, that when people are protesting, when white supremacists are protesting, that they're part of the good guys.
You're just talking point central.
Talking point central, how do you...
Have you been to Africa?
Let's be honest here.
I've been to 22 countries in Africa. My bet is you've never been to one of them.
Why can't Republicans break 10%?
Donald Trump was exactly right. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Donald Trump's going to get more of the black vote. And first of all, we're going to get it in 2018 and shock the daylights out of you. Then in 2020, he's going to get more of the black vote that's going to absolutely put this over the edge.
7%?
Who cares?
No, he got 9% last time, which is better than Mitt Romney got.
Laura, let me tell you, the problem with guys like him is it doesn't matter. You know what's funny about this? The conversation this man is having right now is he's saying, I don't want black people to even consider voting for Donald Trump. You know what they'll also do? They'll say, I don't want black people to think Donald Trump's worth anything, and then they'll criticize him because he doesn't have black people on his cabinet.
I take Donald Trump I take Donald Trump at his word. Donald Trump, throughout his entire career, whether it be the Central Park Five, you can say it's nonsense, but you know everybody has a job to do, and I'm sure that
lowest unemployment rate among African Americans, I believe, in history. More opportunity, more manufacturing. Take it away from race for a second.
How about
Take it away from race for a second, Michael. Michael, we have more economic opportunity coming into America today because of what he's done. That will do more to lift people out of poverty, give them opportunities than anyone. And you tell me that stopping illegal immigration, flooding the inner city with drugs and guns isn't going to help minorities?
This is a joke. You guys actually, with a straight face, believe that Donald Trump is good for black people and racial relations.
Yes.
Kevin, you honestly believe that?
Yes, he is.
As a black person, I will tell you
because he's breaking the stranglehold that the Democrat Party has on certain minority voters.
Respect for black
and you take
people,
them for granted,
community.
and you know you do.
He uses black people.
You're afraid
Kevin,
of him.
Black people are being used by Donald. People like you are being used by Donald.
We got to go, guys. We're out of time. But
I mean, how's it feel?
Michael and Kevin,
Hillary Clinton,
you're both really smart, and unfortunately, we're out of time. But I'd love to have you back on radio. I'd love to have you both back. But thank you, both very well informed. And we're going to have another shocking example of liberal censorship on campus coming up in our Defending the First series. Meanwhile, President Trump is responding to the critics of his planned summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. We're going to tell you what he said, and a top foreign policy expert weighs in next.